also spelled fairy or fairy, a mythical being of folklore and romance, usually having magic powers and dwelling on Earth in close relationship with humans. The following next 3 stories are real encounters with fairies, or what seem to be fairies. Do you believe in fairies? Let's see what your perspective is after these stories. On a midsummer day around 1853, in County Donegal, Ireland, a boy named Neil Colton was out behind his home with his brother and a female cousin gathering berries, when the 3 of them heard music playing nearby. Stepping around some large rocks, the trio saw a group of 6 to 8 small people dancing in a circle a few hundred feet away. As soon as they spotted the dancers, a small woman dressed in red broke from that group and ran at the children, striking Colton's cousin across the face with what seemed to be a green rush. Not surprisingly, the children ran for the house, but as soon as they reached it, Colton's female cousin fell down dead. Colton's father quickly fetched a priest, who read psalms and, striking the girl with his stole, managed to wake her up from her death-like state. The priest said that had she not grabbed Colton's brother when she attacked, she would have been taken by the fairies forever. The May 1977 issue of Fate, an American magazine devoted to stories of odd events, printed a letter from Cynthia Montefiore describing 2 strange things that she saw at her mother's home in Somerset, England. One day, Montefiore was in the garden with her mother, who was showing her how to take cuttings from a rose tree. They were standing on opposite sides of a rose tree when her mother suddenly put a finger to her lips to indicate that they should be quiet. Then she pointed to one of the blooms. There, plain to see, was a 15-centimeter tall, 6-inch woman with beautiful wings like those of a dragonfly. She was pale pink with long silvery hair and was pointing a small wand with a glowing tip at the center of the flower. The 2 women watched this little being for about 2 minutes as her wings beat like a hummingbird's and she continued to point her wand. Then she simply disappeared. Needless to say, both women forgot to finish the lesson on rose cuttings. Later, Montefiore was sitting under a tree in the same garden reading a book when she noticed something moving in front of her. She looked up to see what looked like a sturdily built figure in one-piece brown suit run from the lawn to a young fir tree where it disappeared. The figure was only about 45 centimeters, 18 inches tall. Montefiore jumped up to look at the fir tree, but could not find nothing unusual or useful. It was a summer evening in 2005 when a man identified as JF claimed that he and his girlfriend were part of a group visiting a friend's house in Chickasaw, Pennsylvania. The house was in a thickly wooded area, and they had watched the sunset from the back deck of the house. They continued to chat and hang out as the night grew darker and cooler. The deck was lit by a single spotlight. Then they heard a noise in the potted plants near the spotlight, and everyone turned to look as something shot into the air from the pots. The creature was about 30 centimeters, 12 inches tall. It appeared to have a human head with long pointy ears and something wrapped around its body. It paused for a moment in mid-air just between the spotlight and the people. Then its wings opened, unwrapping from around, apparently, a female being's body. The wings were bat-like, and they appeared to be membrane stretching from her fingers to her toes, and veins could be seen where the spotlight was shining through. But in overall shape, the wings resembled that of a butterfly. The whole little being seemed to have a lightly glow with a greenish light. After hanging in space a moment more, the little being fluttered across the deck like a butterfly over the heads of the group and off into the dark woods. The only word that the group could agree to call the strange creature was, not surprisingly, fairy. Most of us think of fairies as tiny creatures, flitting about on gossamer wings, waving a magic wand, but history and folklore tell a different tale. When belief in fairies was common, most people didn't like to mention them by name, and so referred to them by other names, the little people or the hidden people. Many explanations have been given for a belief in fairies. Some say that they are like ghosts, spirits of the dead, or were fallen angels, neither bad enough for hell nor good enough for heaven. There are hundreds of different kinds of fairies. Some are minute creatures, others grotesque, some can fly, and all can appear and disappear at will. So, next time you're walking through the forest, maybe you'll catch a glimpse of a fairy. Don't forget to sleep with your light.